This video is a continuation of the previous video I made about adding a secondary attack to a trike and then giving it a projectile. I'm going to go ahead and correct a few things that I showed you wrong in that last video, and also we're going to go ahead and make this guy have several different projectile attacks here. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple changes I've made since that video. Everything I have is already set up. I've created my variables and everything. I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to go ahead and implement those. You should know how to create your variables from the last video. So what I've gone ahead here is on our toggle projectile, I went ahead and added a BP get item template with an is valid here that is checking to make sure that we have stone in our inventory. That way we cannot even toggle the projectile unless we actually have stone. So, and what I've also done here is added a message for when we activate them and when we deactivate them. What I've done is just created a get owner controller with an is valid from the valid cast shooter player controller, and then off here on my branches you can see I have the notifications going for when you deactivate it. And it looks like I have it backwards here actually, so we'll go ahead and change that real quick. That's going to be deactivated and that will be activated. Alright, so now when we activate the projectiles, it's going to say activated. When we deactivate them, it's going to say deactivated. Alright, so that's one change we made here. And then if we wanted to also, right here on our not valid from the toggle projectile, we can go ahead and drag this over here to our message we made from yesterday for no ammo. So if we try and toggle the projectile and we don't have any ammo, it's going to give us the no ammo message. If we have ammo, it's going to go ahead and deactivate it, show us the activated message, and then when we deactivate it, we'll get the deactivated message. So let's go ahead and see that work real quick. There's our no ammo, and we try and activate it. Go ahead and throw some stone in the inventory there. Oop, wrong button. And now we have projectiles activated. Projectiles deactivated. Alright, so that's that. Now, one thing I'm going to go ahead and show you and mention here is about the projectiles. Yesterday when I made this video, I showed you I was using a projectile that I already had. This is actually an old projectile that I made a long time ago when I really didn't know much about the dev kit, didn't know anything about the graph, and this is how I got it to work. If you followed my tutorial and used a default arc projectile, you probably noticed your projectile always went in the same direction no matter what you're facing. That is because on projectiles here, we'll go ahead and just use this one for an example. This setting right here, initial velocity and local space, I had that checked on my projectile. You really don't want that. The better way to do that is to go ahead and on your graph here, from the return value of your projectile, and also I changed my projectile to the Wyvern lightning attack here, so all I did, and then I actually had to copy that projectile because for some reason the lightning does not show up for you unless you select this box here, replicates. So, and by default it's not replicated, so in order for this to work I had to copy that projectile and set it to replicates. So that's my projectile here, and what we're going to do here is go ahead and drag off the return value, and we want BP init velocity. Connect it up there, and then what we need to do here for our shoot direction is we're going to go ahead and from our world rotation we want a forward vector. And that should be good right there. So that's going to make sure that that projectile, when you fire it, it fires in the direction you are facing. Apparently this is how Wildcard does it, so this would be the better way to do it. And then also, you want to change this from a run-on server to a multicast event here. So Let's go ahead and see our fire or our lightning projectile. All right, projectiles activated, and we got our lightning attack. And projectiles deactivated. All right, so let's go ahead and do some switchable projectiles here. Now, also I also had to copy the Wyvern projectile fireball because it actually by default has nothing on it. The actual fire particle system is built into the animation for the Wyvern. Since we're using a trike here, what I did is I just went ahead and added the Wyvern particle system to the projectile. Now it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to just originate his mouth and come directly out of it like a shooting fire. It's going to kind of just shoot a big giant fireball out from it. So it's not perfect, but it does work. So let's go ahead and open our trike character BP back up here. Alright, so since we're going to make several different projectiles here, we need to change a couple things here on our toggle projectile. First of all, I couldn't get my brain to work properly this morning, so what I did here is I know there's a way you could do it on the switch as a init here where you could just use one set of variables, but like I said, I couldn't get my brain to work right, so I went ahead and made two sets of variables here. What this variable right here does is it sets the next one in this order. So when you press 0, it goes through here. It sets this right here to 1. So next time you press the button, it's going to go through this one. That sets it to 2. So that's going to go through here and so on. These right here, you'll see what this does here. This sets a different switch as a nit for our actually firing of the projectile. So what we're going to do here is go ahead and we'll make a little room right here. And we want to go ahead and get rid of this branch and the variable. And then we're going to move all this right over here. And then we want to go ahead and hook our, actually we're going to switch this around here since this one is going to be the actual enable right here. So we want to make this one the turn on, this one the turn off. So that means we need to switch these around again here. Actually, we'll just go ahead and rename it, that'll be easier. And actually, we're going to go ahead and add some new messages here, so let's go ahead and we'll just hook up this for now. And let's do this. Go ahead and break those links. And where's my other ones right here? And we'll go like this. So lightning activated, that's going to be the first one that turns on, so we'll go ahead and hook that there. Let's go ahead and just call this one Fireball. So that's going to be our second selection. And then we'll do Poison here. And then finally we'll leave this one at the bottom here. So we want to connect this one to our Poison, and then this one to our Deactivated. Then go ahead and connect these up here. Alright, so now we're going to have messages when we toggle between our different projectiles here. So let's go ahead and set up that toggle. This is all set to go here, so we're going to set our projectile type. Let's going to turn on our particles. It's going to display the message of what type of projectile we just activated. So let's go back down here to our fire projectile code. We'll go ahead and move this out of the way a little bit. Move that. And then we're going to put this up here. And I already have a couple other spawn actors down here that already have my projectiles set. We're going to move them there. And then we have another switch on int over here with 3 selections, and those are the projectile type. Going to go ahead and hook 0 here. So that's our lightning. 1 is our fireball. 2 is our poison ball. Alright, so what we want to go ahead now is go ahead and connect these all up here. And then the return value we want to connect to our BP init velocity. And I already have that, so. And there we go. Now we should have 3 different switchable projectiles here. Let's go ahead and see it. Oh, that's one thing I forgot. We want to go ahead and connect our spawn transform here to our 2 new projectiles. Alright, lightning. Fireball. See, let's look at that from the side here. See, that's not too bad. And then the poison. And then deactivated, lightning, fireball, poison, projectiles deactivated. Alright, so let's go ahead. I'm going to show you one more thing here on the lightning ball, in case you ever want to play with this particular projectile. Some of the things I changed on this to make it work with the trike here. Now, I kind of cleaned this up. It's still not exactly clean, but it's definitely a little bit easier to read than what they had. So what we're going to do here, what I did is they had this right here for their transform connected right here. And they didn't have this trike or the box one or this get world transform. They just had it directly connected right here like that. So I went ahead and added my trike character BP here. And from here I drug out my box component, which if you remember from that. That's our box component right here, which is our projectile origin point. And then I got its world transform and then just went ahead and connected it up here. Now I probably could have just used, this actually used to say lightning something or other socket. And you can use like the glasses socket like I have here, but it didn't really originate where I wanted it to. You probably could change it by adjusting the transform values, location and stuff before you put it into the trace. But it was just easier since I already had the box there to just go ahead and do it this way. So I added that right there. Remove this from the equation. And there's also another right here. They had this connected to this mesh for the target. Or no, sorry, parent. And I did the same thing. I got my trike and I did my box and put it here and remove the socket name. So seems to work, as you can see in the video there. But that's it. Multiple projectiles on a trike, switchable with messages, and a little more information on how to set up your projectiles here. Alright, hope you enjoyed the video.